Welcome to This Week in Guns. Our bandwidth sponsor today is Stealth Gear USA, stealthgearusa.com. The show is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, Patriot Patch Company, JWB Military, and Brass. This is a podcast that covers the latest commentary on the latest firearms industry news, information, and buzz. I'm your host, Jake Challen, president of FRN. You make this show possible. That's right. You simply click through our Amazon affiliate link the next time you're shopping online, and a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. You can also pledge your support over at firearmsradio.tv/pledge. We have a great panel this week. We have a first-timer, Jared Ross, owner of Rockwell Tactical. Hey, Jared.
Howdy. Glad to be here tonight.
So, Jared, I guess share with the listeners real quick a little bit of your background and what you do at Rockwell Tactical.
Well, Rockwell's a training company based here in Central PA. We do a wide variety of stuff: pistols, carbines, shotguns, long range, tactical medicine. A lot of our guys, like myself, we've got a background in the soft community, so we got a lot of good experience, and we're just trying to get good training out to good people.
Very cool. And what kind of training do you generally cover?
For the most part, we do a lot of pistol work and a lot of carbine, and we do everything from very basic, which end does the bullet come out of, to as advanced as you want to take it. Some of our low light, no light stuff, jungle walks with under nods and stuff, that and a lot of our vehicle classes are some of the more fun and some of the more popular classes that we get to do.
Very cool. Yeah, later on in the show, we'll talk a little bit more about Rockwell Tactical and share where people can connect with you online. We have Baraka James, chairman and founder of Modern American Shooting and Firearms. Hey, Baraka.
Hey, good evening, Jake. How are you?
Doing great. You going out to the blind tonight? What's the
Actually,
deal?
no, I don't start rifle hunting until Saturday. Saturday is our first day, the 19th, and I'm super stoked. We leaving my house at 3:30 in the morning, heading over. Light is 6:30. I'll be in my tree at 5:30, an hour before, and I'll be sitting there eating biscuits and mustard. Maybe some potted meat too.
Alrighty then. We have Nate Murr, Director of Business Development at Connect Development Group. Hey, Nate.
Hey, Jake. Good to be back on.
And we have Josh Cast of Four Guys Guns. Hey, Josh. You're muted.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual co-hosts and definitely do not reflect the official policy or position of the Firearms Radio Network, their sponsors, or their employers. Viewer discretion is advised, especially on live shows. Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. Speaking of hunting season, we have the American Tradition Morale Patch here.
Badass. That's badass.
Very cool. Available at patriotpatch.co. Also have a new It's Dangerous to Go Alone Sniper Edition. And if you missed out on the November Patch of the Month Club, where we have the Tactical Tom and the Pumpkin Spice Smoke Grenade, we have a few left. We sent all the shipments out, and it turned out we had a few extras. So I think we have like 10 left. So head on over and check out the Patch of the Month Club if you're listening to this before November 20th. I think that's the deadline where it cuts off. So head on over to patriotpatch.co. Top stories this week. We're going to start with some positive news. Thank everyone for watching live on Facebook. Let me know if you have audio over there. It seems like someone said there's an audio issue on the live Facebook feed. So top stories, positive: civilian kills man attacking deputy. And then companion story, shoot straight gives Good Samaritan a replacement gun.
Yeah, that was actually an excellent story. I read about it. Apparently, a law enforcement officer had a suspect. He was chasing him, and the suspect wasn't complying, so the officer tried to take the guy down. The guy apparently got the upper hand on the officer, was on top of the officer and beating him down. The officer started to call out for help and yelling around to anyone who was nearby, and a Good Samaritan pulled over, jumped out of his vehicle, and the guy wouldn't. He ordered the guy to get off the cop. He just kept beating the cop. So apparently he fired some shots at the guy, and they struck the guy, and he helped the cop out. And I think that was awesome that a good law-abiding citizen came out to the aid of a police officer and helped him out.
Yeah, he essentially shot the bad guy off of the cop.
That's right.
So my question is, I wonder how many cars drove by, looking out the window, looking and seeing the scene that was unfolding, and just said, "Not my problem." Just kept driving.
Just kept letting it happen until he decided to take action.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but at least somebody did. I'm very happy that somebody got out and helped that officer, because he was an elderly guy too at that. So he could have been beat to death if not for that good Samaritan.
Well, from what I understand from reading the story earlier this week, the guy that got shot was driving excessive speeds, like well over speed limit. Like I think they said like 100 and some miles per hour. And the officer pursued, vehicle chase, and then at some point the vehicle finally stopped, and the officer approached, and it escalated to the point where they got in the physical confrontation. So it wasn't like he just like wanted to give somebody a speeding ticket, and it escalated, with the usual like, oh, he was a good boy and it was the cop's fault. I mean, it seems like it was a pretty clear case of the guy not complying and trying to beat the officer to death. So it's good to see there's some people out there still willing to do what's necessary.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the 1,000 rifle Henry Golden Boy shoot, which was refused a world record. Whitey, you were out at that event.
I was there. It was completely like an awesome event. Don't get me wrong. They had a huge production team out there too. There's constantly drones flying overhead. The NRA put on, they had two big podiums with all the NRA stuff playing, a great little country band, and lots of food trucks. And the president of an owner, I guess, of Henry Rifles came out and really gave a very moving, speech about, how he's been in the firearms industry for the past 40 years. And, especially in recent times, how he's often, when people ask, oh, what do you do for a living? And some of his responses, which were super patriotic and inspiring, to say the least. I'm a little disappointed in this article, and I don't even know if it's the article so much as possibly the NRA, because what we were told at this event, which again, very awesome event, and the rifles from Henry were absolutely gorgeous, was that Guinness had said, yep, you guys get it, but because of the political climate and whatnot surrounding guns and recent elections, et cetera, basically the media volatility of 1,000 guns going off. I mean, you'd think they were all bazookas or, M60s, because it was, there's 1,000 of them. So
it's literally 1864 technology, right?
Right.
And they're lever actions.
Yeah.
They were Henry Golden Boy silvers.
They were high capacity.
I know they could hold like 15 or something like that. But yeah, we were told that Guinness had already signed off on it. It was good to go. They just weren't attending and making a big hoopla about it because of everything aforementioned. This article says that Guinness Book said, jog on. And what bothers me is if you look at the date, and that's the first thing like a lot of us do nowadays because of all the fake news and old news being brought up for political gain and favor. You always check the date to see when this thing was actually published. And It was published on the 16th, which means it went into proofreading and was probably written on the 15th, which is the day after the event. So I'm wondering why the story changed, and that kind of screws me over. However, 1,022s echoing off the side of BLM land sounds amazing.
Black Lives Matter has land?
The Bureau of Land Management.
I know, dude. I'm totally joking.
But the range was, dude, like, you really have no idea. I did a couple live streams for Four Guys Guns while I was out there, and you could only be on one range at a time of like 350 people per range, and to see 350
that's awesome
lever actions glistening in the sun like Asian math grades, it was amazing. That was a little off for me, but in the meantime, it was really an inspiring set. They had 3 separate ranges: red range, white range, and blue range. 300-ish, like 350-ish shooters and everything. I actually was just there to cover it, and at the last minute, somebody was kind of breaking my stones. Oh, well, he doesn't get to shoot. No, I looked at the media guy from Henry, who's right next to me, and I was like, well, maybe if Daniel got his act together. And then an NRA representative stepped up, and she was like, oh, here, take my number. I'm just a stand-in because this person wanted to contribute but couldn't be here to shoot, but I'm here for the record.
Right on.
So I was like, woo, I get to shoot. Crazy, because it was
That's really cool. You got to do that.
Yeah, I got to partake in, it's one of those things where like, oh yeah, a bunch of 22s going off, big whoop, I'll take a video. But when you're literally like, I was shooting like So Chicken Wing over Hank Strange, like the ejection port was like in his ear. And it was a really cool thing to be a part of.
Now, Henry's a New York-based company, right?
I believe so. There are 2 factories though, are in Jersey,
New Jersey,
and
New Jersey.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, New Jersey and Wisconsin. You're right.
Oh,
all the center fire stuff happens in Wisconsin. All the rim fire stuff happens in Jersey, with the exception of the super fancy like Golden Boys, the engraving. No matter what the actual like caliber is, like the super fancy stuff happens in Jersey as well.
So what did the owner say that was negative? You said that he,
No, he didn't say anything negative. He said
negative
that,
comments directed towards him being a rifle manufacturer.
Oh yeah, so he told a quick story, if I can remember. I'll probably butcher the hell out of it, but he had met this woman, and it was like right at the beginning of the campaigning and all that, or after Sandy Hook, somewhere in between there. And she said, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And he said, "Well, I manufacture rifles for a living." And he expected like huge amounts of blowback and like just disgust and disdain, because he's been through like 4 decades of this BS when it comes to politics and guns. So he's expecting something, and then he was surprised because she had said, it's kind of an awkward business to be in right now, isn't it? Or inconvenient business to be in, something along those lines. And he thought about it for a second, and his response was, I think it's exactly the business to be in right now. And then he went into a very short monologue as to why it's an important business to be in, and what the Second Amendment stands for. And it was very poetic. Like, I really am not doing it any justice at all. But
it sounds like it was a really cool event.
Very, very nice guy, very personable, very down to earth, believe it or not. I mean, Henry's been around forever, and they're just as awesome as they are. Like, I do a lot of quote unquote, tactical stuff. I do a lot of modern firearms. I have a soft spot for lever actions because it's one of the first guns I ever learned how to shoot. And it's just, dude, anyone who loves Westerns.
Yep, right here, man.
And you can't watch Tombstone. You can't watch Rio Grande, any John Wayne movie. You can't watch any of that without going, man, I want a lever action.
That was the first center fire rifle I shot. Was my grandfather had a lever action 4440.
Nice.
It's like a 3-digit serial number. My dad has it. It's like
really.
Yeah, it's a really cool gun. But I was like, because it's like 4440 is a pistol caliber. That was the first center fire I shot as a kid. I think a lot of people, have a soft spot for that type of rifle, Whitey, just because so many people, that's their first deer rifle, that's their boyhood gun, So
yeah, I still want one. I have to buy one.
You should John Patton's lever actions, and it totally makes you want one.
Don't even get me started on that 50.
I love that 50. I shot it at the machine gun shoot. It was awesome, dude. That thing is badass.
Sandy Hook families appeal Remington dismissal. I'm not sure where they're going to go with this.
They just don't know when to stop beating a dead horse, man. That's the bottom line.
When it's glue.
Yeah, obviously. Man.
It may be of a case they're just hoping to find the right judge.
But that had gone to the Supreme Court, right? If I'm not mistaken. That was the Connecticut Supreme Court.
Right.
It was the state Supreme Court. So, I mean, if the state Supreme Court shut it down, I don't think they're going to... Yeah, where are they going to go with it?
Well, they get a certain amount of appeals. This is one of those nights where it's really good if Kraut was here, because he'd be like, well, they get this and they get that, and boring diatribe, and then, here's what it really means. So, I mean, I wish he was here to explain that to us.
Could Trump bring universal concealed carry reciprocity to all 50 states? And then we have 3 companion stories about Trump. Trump, next justice, will be very pro Second Amendment. Anti-Trump protesters brawl with each other. And Hearing Protection Act, a real possibility under Trump.
So here's the thing. Oh, go ahead, Jarrett. Go ahead.
Right now, it's the time to do it. I mean, if he and the Republicans, if they don't do it now, when are they going to do it? This is the first time in how long that we've had such a majority control in both the House and the Senate, and with Trump, right now is the time to put up or shut up. Unfortunately, I mean, Trump does have somewhat of a record of being anti-gun, you know, with his public statements of supporting an assault weapons ban and other stuff. But, you know, the last 12, 18 months, he's been saying the right things and supporting the right, you know, right stuff. So it can definitely happen.
And his son's been hanging out with Silence or Co.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, both Trump and his son have been very, I would say, active in the Second Amendment community. Like 2 years ago, 2 NRA shows ago, Trump came, and I'm like, why is Donald Trump here? And then that was shortly before he announced his bid for the presidency for the run. And then he was at this past year, this year's NRA show as well. So I don't know, like, it seems like the family. I know where Jared's going with this because we've had private discussions about, you know, Donald Trump's track record over the long run, over the decades, about his views of the Second Amendment. But I like to think that he painted himself into a corner with how much pro Second Amendment stuff he campaigned.
Since he started campaigning, he's done everything right. He said everything right. He certainly has the appearance, and I hope he keeps going that way. He's going to attempt, and he's going to do these things. So I'm all for it.
The NRA was the first to endorse him publicly too. I mean, out of everybody. But here's the question I have about the 50-state reciprocity. What about states' rights? You know, it's always the conflict between federal government and states' rights. So you get states like New Jersey, Chicago, DC is not even a state, Maryland, all of these anti-gun states. What's going to be, you know, how does that play into this and factor in? You know, we have 11 constitutional carry states, but 50-state reciprocity, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Look at like in this past year alone, how many more states have gained CCW? How many states have gone to constitutional carry? Like, I know on the show we talk about the negative, but there's been a lot of good news as far as the Second Amendment goes this past year. So if we had a 50-state reciprocity or 50-state nationwide concealed carry permit kind of thing, the states that opted out or decided that they're going to stick to their proverbial guns, pun intended, that they're not going to participate, I think that would increase pressure from their own citizens to maybe change it, like to buy into it. Let me ask you this, like, Jared, you've been a firearms trainer for years now. Have you seen an uptick in new shooters targeted specifically to CCW within the last like year or two?
Yes, absolutely. We've had a lot of people. In fact, what's really cool, we've had on more than one occasion now people who have grown up liberal, very liberal, but they've made that leap. I need to defend myself. I need to defend my family. I don't like guns, but there's no other way for me to defend it. So I'm going to come and get trained so I can defend my family. That's the explicit reason why they're going against, you know, the way they've lived their entire life, is to learn, to carry, to defend themselves.
Would you say there's an uptick in that within the last year or two? I mean,
yes, we've seen a big uptick in that, and brand new shooters, you know, specifically wanting training to be able to carry concealed.
So I that's why, like, that's the way I read the situation. It seems like more and more people ask me about CCW and getting into it, and like, hey, what do you EDC? You have a younger generation, like what I call gun culture 2.0, like, you know, people getting their CCWs, getting training, and it's like not your traditional, you know, shooter as you would think of it. You have more female shooters, you have more shooters from all walks of life, and in that sense, for self-defense.
Well, we did that earlier in the year. It was in July. We hosted that EDC conference, and we hardly advertised for that thing at all. And we had 85, close to 90 people show up for that. And out of that, about a third of them were brand new to shooting, you know, new either they were about ready to purchase a firearm or they had just purchased a firearm. And I think that's another good example of these new people who they're going that direction.
Well, these people vote too. So, I mean, I'm just saying that, like what you just said, like if today's not the right time to start working towards a 50-state CCW, then when's it going to go through? Yeah. I agree 100%.
I heard, so I can't, you know, dual source it to know that, you know, it's absolutely true. I think it was Limbaugh or somebody said that since Obama was elected, the Democrats have lost about 900 seats throughout the states with the state legislatures. That most of them have gone Republican. So that's just our whole country is going that way.
But we're
despite
also,
what the mainstream media tell us.
so besides new shooters, we're also getting a different pocket of shooters. For instance, when we hosted Steve Fisher here at our range back on September 11th, we had a all women's pistol self-defense class we hosted with him, and we had 14 women shooters here. And 2 of the women shooters were actually surprised me because 2 of them their husbands are multimillionaires. One was the Redskins coach Gruden, Sherry Gruden, his wife came, and then the Redskins general manager Jess McClellan, his wife came as well. They live in a multi-million-dollar mansion in a gated community, and she told me, she said, I'm not stupid enough to think that just because I live in a gated community, just because I live in a multi-million-dollar mansion, that someone couldn't come in my house and try to harm me or my children. And that's why I'm here today. And that showed me, that really opened my eyes, because that class, those people, I mean, her husband makes $5 million a year as the Redskins head coach. And those people usually are the ones that say, I live in a safe neighborhood. You know, they usually are oblivious to those things, but even those people are starting to wake up now and see and understand that they need to be able to defend themselves, that money doesn't have a barrier against crime.
So a different perspective, and I don't mean to be the naysayer of the group, but I don't think a lot of these things are going to happen in the first year, possibly not even the second. And the reason why I say that is because while we do have a lot of red across the board to help us, if the whole, right side of the fence goes in this mad dash to push, you'll get the first few in, and then you're going to start getting some pushback. And then by the time we get to, past the important stuff, because right now, as far as I know, healthcare is number one. I think everyone I talk to is super pissed about how much they have to pay for insurance, for Obamacare, for all that fun stuff. So that's priority one. And I've looked at his first 100-day plan. I've looked at who he's starting to bring in for, his cabinet members and people who wants to fill for these advisor spots. And it's uninspiring. I'm sure he sees something that we don't, because it's different sides of the fence. We don't know what Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson joke about because we're not there.
But Whitey, those things cost money. Like a nationwide CCW and getting suppressors removed from the NFA, that's low-hanging fruit. That's like cheap to do.
It is, but that's not Trump. Let's be honest. He wants to shoot for the moon every single time, and that's not a shoot for the moon thing. True. He wants to make a huge impression right out of the gates, and he wants to say Trump did this.
Right.
So I don't think we're going to see repeal the NFA. Everyone is super excited in the 2A community, myself included. I would love for suppressors and full auto and for SBRs to be completely nixed off that list. I have literally 3 guns waiting to be SBR'd right now. If we can get suppressors just like we buy guns, if not even easier, cool. But I think that the country needs to be handled first, and the Second Amendment is part of that process. I just don't think it's the first thing on the list.
I think Whitey's right about that. I mean, I can only speak for myself, but because of Obamacare, we just renewed. Everyone's renewing their insurance right now as we speak, and ours went up, 20%. We went up $350 more per month for a family of 5 on a single family income, and there's a lot more people who are paying way more than we are, and that have much more of a significant increase. And I think that's the biggest thing, like Whitey was saying right now, that it's hurting and killing everyone. Because if you get a 5% raise, but your health care goes up 20%, what is that raise doing for you?
Yeah, and all I'm saying is let's make sure that if we're going to back decisions, let's make sure we're backing them in the top priority order. Because right now, I can carry a gun. Right now, most of the people here can carry a gun legally. Most of the people here can travel, can carry concealed, all these things. So right now, as of right now, we're good. I think if everyone could pay $350, $500, $1,000 less per month on insurance, we knock that out the park.
Right.
And we move on to other things that take away, or at least bring back to center some of these super liberal policies. I think then it's going to be very easy when you knock those big bricks off the wall. No pun intended, because the wall's coming. But once those big bricks get knocked down, I think things like repealing the NFA are going to be breadcrumbs. It's like, look how good this went. Look how good that went. These are big, proud, shining moments, wonderful moments. Everyone loves these moments. Let's talk like Trump for a night. then things like repealing the NFA, knocking suppressors, the Safe Hearing Act, all this stuff is just gonna fall like dominoes. But if we rush in and we back and we call our senators and our congressmen and say this has to happen now, it's gonna send the wrong message, because even though we have good control, you still don't always have full control.
Right.
I mean, I think the reality of the situation is, I mean, like, Trump's not even in the Oval Office yet, you know,
Right.
but he will be soon. Like, show me, not many presidents accomplish that much their first year anyway. So, I mean, like, that's the reality of the situation. Is like, I think that these things are important and that we keep them on our radar. We shouldn't expect them to happen overnight or, like, you know, a week after Trump's in the Oval Office. It's going to take time for any of these things to happen. And I agree, Whitey, 100% that, you know, even though I look at these things as very simple things to do or cheap things to do, he does have his priorities. You know, the nation's priorities are a little bit different than, you know, enthusiasts wanting suppressors taken off the NFA. But I have faith. I have faith that as long as the Second Amendment as a community keeps the pressure on it, and we just, you know, don't forget about this like we forget about everything after 6 months go by, we keep this fresh in mind that maybe we can live to see some of these things happen within the next 4 years. That's my optimist.
No, and I agree with you
speaking.
100%, because in all honesty, these restrictions, you know, every gun law is an infringement, plain and simple, right?
That's right.
But let's prioritize. And while the Second Amendment defends every other amendment out there, it's not a top priority, because we still do have guns. We still do have our rifles. We still do have our rights. We would just like all of them. And we've given a lot of time over the past several decades saying, you know what, we'll let this little sliver go. We'll let this little sliver go. Right now, we are at neutral balance. We are tipping the scales back in our favor. Let's take that time and be patient and be vigilant and continue to hold what we have, not give up anything that we've gained back over the past, you know, 12, 16 years. And then we can tip it back completely over to where it's supposed to be, as a constitutional amendment that is uninfringed across the board.
Well, I mean, that kind of ties in with this other part of this article cluster here, which is Trump next justice will be very pro Second Amendment. Like, to me, this is like was the biggest issue. The thing I was most concerned about with the election is the who was going to be the new Chief Justice, right? Who's going to be brought on board. So now we look to gain, hopefully, a pro Second Amendment Chief Justice. But the other thing is that I think you have 3 other justices that are like in their 80s right now. So like,
Ginsburg.
so like, let's just say, like, you know, in Fantasyland that Trump gets reelected, are those justices going to be around 8 years from now? Like, probably not. They're either going to retire or die soon. So, like, it's not just like the one justice that Trump might pick. It might be up to 4 within the next couple of years, and that is breathtakingly huge.
Right.
And if we're all true to who we say we are, I honestly don't care if they're pro Second Amendment. I care if they're pro Constitution. I care that they're pro Bill of Rights. I care that they're following the letter of the law, because this is a nation of laws.
I agree.
That's a better way of putting it. I agree 100%.
Yeah, and your way isn't wrong, because that's a priority in our lives. Let's be honest. This is where we make our money. This is how we feed our kids. This is how we pay our bills. So yeah, top of our mind is going to be Second Amendment above all else.
I just look at it like, I mean, obviously I believe in the Constitution. I've sworn multiple oaths to it. There's nothing that I care about more than the Constitution. When I say the Second Amendment, just like take it as a blanket for the entire United States Constitution, because it's the only amendment that I see attacked all the time. Realistically, it's the only amendment that affects me constantly.
Prove it. Get a tattoo. You won't do it.
Of the Constitution.
So what's
The whole thing.
what's really interesting about this Hearing Protection Act is if this passes, you know, a year from now, a couple years from now, it's retroactive to last October.
Tax credits.
So you would get tax credits on everything you bought up until it passing.
Wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
I don't see them repaying that money. I really don't. I don't see them giving a
No, it's credit.
What's it? This like for when you file taxes at the end of the year credit?
Like, oh, bitches, I got my tax stamps from this many years, and you're like, hood rich. They don't give you a dime. They just don't take as much.
Hey, if we can give billions of dollars to Iran, we can refund a few tax stamps or a few $100,000. So.
Right.
I'm pretty sure we didn't give that money. Hillary did. We just happened to, give her the money to give to them.
Yeah,
I think that's in his first 100 days too. Is to stop a lot of funding to a lot of other countries.
Chicago suburb referendum vote abolish the Second Amendment. This happened in Oak Park, suburb of Chicago.
Perfectly timed.
Those people are just so weird. I don't understand. Okay, DC and Chicago are such oxymorons. They have the strictest gun laws, but yet the highest murder rates. Does that? It just doesn't. Does anyone play logic here? I mean, these media people, and the people who live there. It's
So-
guns' fault.
One of the quotes from I think it's a professor that's behind this. He says, Oak Park is a very enlightened community. I think it's a reasonable place to start this civilized conversation about limiting the use of firearms.
Oh Lord.
That was a very blatant yawn.
I mean, like, Chicago does produce some pretty good community organizers, but as far as being trendsetters and big reforms, I'm not so sure that this is going to go well for them. Like, I always look at like if we were going to ban the Second Amendment or repeal the Second Amendment or whatever, when in American history would have been the most successful time to do that? Like, I think maybe like never. Like, I can't think of a single decade except for maybe the 90s where that was a potential thing that could actually happen. Like, I always look at, like, they think the federal government doesn't even know. They think that 11 million M16s got manufactured. They can't even give a solid number for how many fully automatic M16s got made, right? So nobody has an accurate idea of how many AR-15s have been made. You know, definitely a hell of a lot more than 11 million, I'll tell you that.
For
So, like,
sure.
how could you ever do it? It's an impossible mission. It's an exercise in futility to even try.
I agree.
Like, it's not going to work out. You're going to have a bad time, Chicago.
New Jersey concedes that state stun gun ban violates the Second Amendment. Looks like the attorney general there is appealing.
Okay, so here's the thing about good old stun guns. Do you see how many times that people have been killed by someone who's been shot with a stun gun in the wrong area, stun gun malfunction and stuff? If you're going to go after someone, don't go after with non-lethal stuff and accidentally be lethal, because guess what's going to happen? You're going to end up in the same situation.
Well, first of all, there's a difference between a stun gun and a taser. A lot of people don't realize that. There's a huge difference between a taser, which is a projectile weapon that was originally designed to use gunpowder, but it was classified as a firearm. And they're like, no, we want a less lethal option that's not going to kill the assailant. So they went and we redesigned it to take compressed CO2 to propel the barbs, right? That's why they went out of their way to make it where it wasn't a firearm. And then it still gets lumped into the category of like, oh, this is a legal item. Like Philadelphia is a city that restricts, you know, tasers and stun guns, right? I look at it like, why wouldn't you want, if you want to carry a taser like so many cops across America do, why would you be denied that escalation of force continuum, right? It's like, I don't carry pepper spray. I don't carry a baton. I'm not legally allowed to carry a baton. I can't carry a taser. So it's like harsh words and Mr. 9mm are my two options.
Don't tase me, bro.
So let me ask you a question. What's the higher number? Amount of deaths from improper stun gun usage or videos you laugh your ass off on YouTube?
Don't tase
I
me.
mean, like, I've been tased. Like, a taser is a hell of a lot worse than getting stunned with a stun gun. The stun gun is like the second that you let go of the electrode, it doesn't affect you anymore. It only affects like an isolated part of your body, right? It's not like in the movies where like somebody takes a stun gun to a guy's neck and he passes out. That's Hollywood for you right there. Taser's a different story. But what I'm saying is, like, yeah, I can understand like occasionally somebody like having heart failure or something from an actual taser, which is still not the same thing. Like, I look at like stun guns as the illusion of safety, just like pepper spray is the illusion of safety. But if you want to have it, it's not a deadly weapon. I don't understand why there's regulation on it.
I'd rather take a tase any day of the week over pepper spray, because once it's done, it's done.
Right.
But the pepper spray, man, the OC
Gift
stuff,
that keeps
that's the
giving.
gift that just keeps on giving.
And I'd definitely rather be tasered than shot. If I'm doing something bad, I would rather get tased than 3 rounds of 9mm center mass. So, like you're looking at all these things, like the other article about the protesters, right? It's like I'm watching all these videos this week of all these protesters swarming vehicles. And I don't have.
Hey, that's mine for full auto, buddy. Easy, buddy.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't have the answer for that. Like, I don't understand. Nobody can give me any legal guidance on what the right thing to do in that situation is. Like, nobody can. Like, it's like you're being surrounded, and like, am I allowed to roll my window down and start OC spraying people? Like, am I allowed to do that? I don't know. And it's the thing. It's like some states don't allow pepper spray, so it's like that might not even be an option that's open to you.
Oh, I'm so gonna turn my windshield wiper things around and fill that with those.
Brilliant
Like
idea.
I've been, Jake, laugh all you will. I mean, I've been thinking about stuff like that. Like, is there a less lethal option aside from shooting or running people over that you could do if you accidentally drove into one of these situations?
You haven't seen any of those South African like anti-carjacker things where they have like blades that pop out? Replace those blades.
First
with
off,
batons,
we
with
can't
batons.
we
With
can't look to South
batons.
Africa for the
I'm
answer.
just saying, no, with batons instead of blades, and and there you go. You got the answer. Drive to the
just
ground that way.
Go all Mad Max with
There you
outfitting
go.
our vehicles.
I have
Exactly.
never met a South African that I could not label as criminally insane. So, so I'm not sure South Africa, like what they're cooking down in Joburg, is probably not going to work here in the States. But
Hey, we have South African listeners that
hey, I love South Africans. Don't get me wrong. Like I worked with them overseas. They're great people. They're like, I don't know. It's like Africa's little Sparta is what it's like. They're all just like they're men's men. I mean, like,
That's awesome.
nothing against those people whatsoever. I love them.
This is Johannesburg.
ATF revises Nick's background check form, updates several things, including clarification on marijuana.
Bad news, Jared Ross. So basically, they amended the 4473. So where it says, "Are you the unlawful user of illicit drugs?" It like clearly states that even if your state has decriminalized marijuana, if you are even if you have a medical marijuana, regardless, if you're using marijuana and you answer negative to it, like that, like are you the user of medical marijuana? And basically, it's kind of like putting people in a situation where you might be able to legally smoke marijuana or consume marijuana in your state, but the federal form still says it's a crime. So if you do that and you lie on the 4473, you can be brought. The charges can be brought against you if it turns out that they found that you're lying about it.
Yep.
So I mean, that's kind of interesting. You have more and more states like legalizing or decriminalizing on the state level marijuana, but it still remains on the books as an illegal substance on the federal level. So it's to me, it's curious that the federal government chose to reprint the 4473 to very specifically target marijuana.
Well, they made a few other changes too, but that was one of the big changes. Adam over at the Prince Law blog has a post on it. I'll link that up in the show notes. He covers it a little more in depth. But it's hasn't been updated since 1999.
No, they did a revision a few years ago when they had it was for the race block, like, are you Caucasian or other than Caucasian, like white? But I also like say like my dad's white, my mom's Hispanic. I consider myself white, but also Latino. So they changed that. I want to say like about 5 years ago. It was a relatively short change, but it was like a almost insignificant thing. It's just, I guess somebody said the old 4473 was racist because how it paints you into a corner. Like, am I white or am I Hispanic, or am I white or am I black, or am I white and also Asian? Like when I identify as both. So
Michael Jackson.
Jesus.
Stealth Gear USA. Stealth Gear USA helps make this episode possible. The new SG Revolution line is here. Stealth Gear's new lightweight, affordable line of carry holsters is just released a few weeks ago. They're rolling out new models every week here. StealthGearUSA.com. Whitey, you got one handy there? Whitey's a fan of Stealth Gear USA, hand built in America. Every Stealth Gear USA is custom molded to your exact firearm, and they have their awesome 45-day no questions asked guarantee. There you go. Whitey's holding up the new Revolution line. I actually got one for my XDS. I left it upstairs.
what is that material? That backing material? Whitey, you're on mute.
Dude, it's like the dude. It's how do I put this? It's like a mix between like scuba suit and like wrestling mat.
Like neoprene and rubber kind of combined.
Yeah, and it's textured, but it's non-abrasive. So when your pistola, where is my gun?
I see
like that waffle pattern.
behind you there.
Anyway, it's so it's super, like you can see through it.
That's cool.
You can see my face and stuff, so it's super breathable, just like the previous generation. But the whole claim to fame with this guy is that you get the same retention and the same comfortability as you do with their previous line, except that they can produce these at like a third of the time frame it takes to produce the other ones. So it's a lower cost option, it's a faster turnaround option, and so far against bearskin, a little bit of stickiness, but not as bad as like a leather. So far, so good. They have 3 different models. They have this one. They have the wider version so that it spreads it out a little bit more. And they have an appendix carry version.
Huh.
And
I'd like to see
really,
the
I wish my
appendix one.
pistol was right here. I don't know where it is. It must be sitting on top of the fridge.
That's what I said. There, I see your mag is sitting there.
So yeah,
that's one of the many.
I tried it out for the first time yesterday. Actually, I tried it out with Billy's new
Boxer tactical belt.
boxer.
The Apogee belt.
Yeah, the
Apogee.
Apogee belt.
It's the truth.
Dude, I love this belt. This thing is so cool.
It's comfortable, isn't it? Like
It's like
flexes just right.
It's like a zip tie for my waist.
Right.
Awesome.
But yeah, it is. It is really comfortable. I mean, I've tried it with a couple different holsters, and it pairs well with every holster I have. So
Like the
Nice.
rigidity top to bottom is solid, but it's still like
flexible and like comfortable.
Where it's
I
supposed
would
to be.
say it's definitely up there as one of the most comfortable belts I've ever had.
Yeah,
Cool.
pairs very nicely with Stealth Gear USA holsters, and Stealth Gear actually has a pre-Black Friday sale. So right now, if you head on over to Stealth Gear USA, no discount code, nothing needed. You get 15% off everything for
Nice.
pre-Black Friday. So I assume that leads all the way up to Black Friday here. So check it out, Stealth Gear USA, stealthgearusa.com. We had breaking news over on the Firearm blog this week about how HexMag was caught erasing the magazine's original designer's bio from their official company history, which happens to be the brother of the CEO of the company. Some family feud there, apparently, over at HexMag.
Does anybody care?
Can we talk about lube now? Like I'm so
Yeah.
tired of hearing about the lube wars and who.
What about
designed
what about the
and everything.
Surefire brings the new light to the market, the wrist light? You need a light for your wrist there, Nate?
They
Well, it's
already
like a-
had one. Like
yeah, it's like
two
it's
years
a
ago.
yeah, it's like a polymer version of their super expensive wrist light that
Yeah.
I got a buddy of mine, my buddy Trek, had one, and he said that it works well as a task light. Like if you're like a mechanic or like a home inspector or something like that, it's not really a tactical light, but it serves as one as a pinch. But the moral of the story is like I don't want a wristwatch flashlight. I want an XC. I want an XC1 that actually works. Is what I want. like I don't understand why my keychain light by Surefire is $70 on Amazon. It's 300 lumens and is almost the size of an XC1, but they can't make it fit a Glock.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like Surefire, I know they're trying to go after more commercial stuff, like non-firearm people for their sales, like that cell phone light thing, which actually is kind of cool. But
the
I don't
fire
know.
pack is awesome.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the fire pack is really great because especially if you do like people like me who take the pictures, it works awesome as a fill light. It can charge your iPhone. It's literally
Oh, very
1500 lumens of burn your eye out, but it's
Yeah.
great as a fill light for when you're taking any picture, daylight or not.
See, I want that in the size of an XC1 for my Glock. That's what I want.
That's a big battery. It's all a drain.
Oh.
All right. This week, lost well-known man in the firearms community. Mike Dillon passed away.
Yeah, Dylan Precision. God rest his soul.
He was, I think, 81 years old.
I'll tell you, Dylan Precision, I think, was one of the first catalogs I got as a kid, like as a teenager. And I'm not sure which I look more forward to, the Dylan Precision catalog every month or my mom's Victoria's Secret. This is back in the 90s before the internet, so both had very attractive women on the cover.
We used to keep multiple years of their calendar floating around our team room.
I did that when I was in Iraq in 04. Like every month I would go by, I'd cut the girl off, and I had a whole wall of Dylan Precision, and they were actually really good. I mean, I'm sure they're probably still doing it. But if you would write, like anybody that's in the military listening to this, if you write Dylan, they'll send you like last year's calendar and this year's calendar. They're always really good about that.
Well, they're the best about customer service. You could get a Dylan 650 that's been passed down to 3 different people, and if it has any parts or anything that has a problem, they will replace it for free. Those guys did an excellent job on taking care of customer service for us in the firearms industry. The reloader community loves it. Yep. Even if you tell them you broke it,
you cram a pin down and you try and knock out a Burdan primer, and next thing you know, you have a pin that looks like really an upside down question mark. They'll still send you not just 1 but like 3 more. Just be like, you know what, you're probably gonna do it again. Here's a couple more.
Awesome.
That was Mike Dillon right there. That was his policy. I mean, he's part of the old breed of shooter that way.
He's a good man.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I just got to say, when you're out on a mission and guys start to mess with you, as soon as you spin up one of his miniguns, that was it, man. The guys would just run away from that. really, really thankful to roll around with a gun truck with one of their miniguns.
You guys had the Dillon. It wasn't the General Electric built one, so it was the Dillon.
We had Dylan's the one who came out and worked with us.
Oh wow,
nice. That's awesome.
So awesome.
Very cool. And that's one of the reasons why he invented the press, right? Is to reload for all the machine guns he liked to shoot.
Yep. You got it.
Might as well if you're good at engineering. Just to touch real quick, because we're on the Firearms blog, and it's going to screw HexMag and all that shenanigans, and screw the Firearms blog, because that's now festering. Read the article. It flat out was like, my buddy, and I got his back. This is a freaking lashing out from somebody whose buddy got burned from a family dispute, and he's making a public display with a public blog. That's horse crap. Dylan, do more articles like that. Not that drama BS of a family member and he got removed from history. Shut up.
Okay, I just have to throw one thing out. I used a HexMag once. I was at Cowtown Rage in Arizona last year in November. I eject the mag out of an SBR, and the mag hits the ground, and it broke in half. So that's all I got to say.
I thought you were going to say double feed, because they're known for that.
I've had similar experiences with the reliability of them too. I've met the HexMag guys a couple times, and they've always been very, very nice and very polite people. That unfortunately I just can't back their product because of the quality. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how awkward do you think Thanksgiving is going to be for the HexMag guys next week?
Oh, brutal.
Yes,
absolutely brutal.
The Firearms blog needs to post more things like remembering Mike Dillon and less family drama BS. Who's the editor over there?
They have an editor.
Away.
David Blaine shot in the mouth.
That was funny.
Who's David Blaine?
He's a magician.
Wait. Like the David Blaine?
Yes.
Like the mind trick ninja guy?
Yeah. It's on Netflix. Watch an hour of card tricks with like really low income households in Mississippi. And then he takes like a 9mm in the mouth in like this custom mouth guard with a glass or like a steel cup that has a deflector inside it.
So it's a bullet trap, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was a 22, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was a 22.
Something like that. 22. It was tiny.
I mean, anybody can do
I'm not getting in front of that gun.
Anybody can do that. I mean, anybody can hold like a bullet trap for 22.
I'll go right after you.
I want to see him do it with a 50. I want to see him do it with a 50 or like a 338.
Do not try this at home. Where's my disclaimer here?
There you go.
I'm offended. Somebody's offended here. I'm not necessarily offended, but we're to the I'm offended section. CEO of a tech company resigns following backlash over threats to kill Donald Trump with a sniper rifle.
Oh, that was an awesome story. I watched that develop too. Like the dude didn't just say like, "I'm going to kill
Secret Service.
I'm going to kill the President Trump." LOL. Like the guy went out and did it. He's like, "I'm going to get a sniper rifle and seat myself on an appropriate perch at the appropriate time. I'm not scared. Yeah, I'm not scared of the Secret Service." Like it was like, and then he tried to pass it off. Like when people found it, they're like, "Is this guy out of his mind? He's making legitimate threats, right?" And then he tried to play it off as a joke. Like
Here's
it was
the-
no
here's-
no biggie. Like it's like I was just joshing. I was just
Dude,
joshing
here's the
around.
problem. A lot of regular people who know nothing about federal law enforcement don't understand that out of everyone in the United States, the federals, the Secret Service have the go or no go call, like to take you out, anybody out if they're threatening the president.
He flat out says it. Bring it, Secret Service.
Oh, that's like saying bomb on a plane, dude. You can't say bomb on a plane.
So, Baraka, what's up with your people? Because what it boils down to is Packet Sled is automated network insight for risk management. This is one of your nerdy people.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What's a packet?
Yeah.
Chili's under fire after manager denies vet free meal. on
Oh,
Veterans
dude, that's
Day.
horrible. That's absolutely deserves an ass kicking on principle alone. I'm sorry.
Do they advertise like free meals or what?
Yeah, they do.
Of all the Chili's and all the veterans on Veterans Day, I'm surprised there's only one.
So apparently, the woman who runs all of Chili's, like the main person, she wrote that guy a personal apology, took care of it, and apologized publicly for it. And they fired the guy, the manager, who refused to do it. But that's absolutely reprehensible, man. I can't believe that. You want to talk about a slap in the face?
Well,
You see it every year.
it's saying the guy Ernest Walker, 47, so he was in uniform in a company with a service dog. Finished his meal and boxed up his leftovers, but when it was time to pay that, he was completely humiliated when the manager came to his table and said that some other other guests said that they did not think he was an actual military veteran. So
She's not wrong.
like that's the thing is like, that I can imagine how terrible of a feeling that must be. Like you're sitting there and like I'm not one of those people to ask for the freebies. I know Jared, like do you partake in those things for Veterans Day?
No.
Yeah, I don't like that take from people. I have to give to people. So I mean, it's cool that a lot of people do it, and there's a lot of vets that like they need that.
They need
Like-
it. I was gonna say, dude.
Like they're not making enough. Like for them to go out and like just cut the check in half and take their wife out, and they eat for free, and their wife gets to
Right.
eat. I mean, that's a big deal for a lot of veterans that aren't doing very well.
Well,
But
even then, from the standpoint of the restaurant, I would think if there's even a question, who cares? Just let the person have it.
Thank
Even
you,
if it's
John.
obvious that they're
Right.
Stolen
making it up,
valor.
whatever. Just give
Exactly.
it to them and let them go about the business.
I agree.
yeah, if you're not an actual veteran and you're partaking for like that kind of stuff, there's a special place in hell waiting for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So go ahead and get your free chicken, dinner. But yeah,
It's disgusting, man. Completely reprehensible. I just it makes me.
If that story is true, where it's like other people said, yeah, she's in the wrong. I don't know if firing, maybe just corrective action and the apology letter, and maybe give the guy like 10 more free meals. But
so well, like this guy is gonna get to eat at Chili's for free for the rest of his
Yeah.
life. That'd be
got
the
that-
right way to do it.
that
That'd be the way
black Chili's card. He's got a black Chili's card.
You guys are wrong.
Chili's from coast to coast, even Dubai.
Overflow. Way too many stories to cover this week. Extra stories in the show notes at firearmsradio.tv. Amazon, you can contribute to the Firearms Radio Network and This Week in Guns by shopping our Amazon affiliate link. Just click the Amazon banners on the website at firearmsradio.tv. And a small portion of your sale goes to supporting pro-gun shows like This Week in Guns. We were to the full auto news segment, stories the real media won't talk about, and other crazy stuff. Each of the hosts picks a story to call their own. While you guys are picking your stories, I want everyone to go over to jwbmilitary.com. That's the home of JWB Military and Brass. They have a great selection of reloading brass that is fully processed, ready to load. They also have some really cool AR 500 steel targets. If you have a range where you can set these out, if you're maybe live on a farm, live in the country, you can set some of these up out back. Very cool steel targets. They're very affordable over at jwbmilitary.com. All right, Whitey, what do you got?
I have one and a possible backup. I didn't get a chance to watch the full video on either, but we'll go with the primary one first, and that is Noir goes in depth on the priceless Big Bang meteorite 1911s. This is what we've all been waiting for.
Right, this was Cabot Arms 1911.
Yeah, so not for nothing. they're sick. So 1911s, you know, I've always adored them, but I don't like carry them or use them. I just think they're really, I equate them to the modern like royalty sabers that you wear with a dress uniform. It's not like a thing that's like, I'm going to go to a rough part of the neighborhood. I might as well pack my 1911. No, you're dressing up. You're doing the big fancy shebang. Boom, put on the super engraved 1911. Or if you're a baller, you get a cabo. So,
Hey, have you watched Gran Torino?
I have.
I mean, some people do still rock a 1911.
I mean, I don't want to name names, but I know this guy who has a really nice 1911 that's kind of sandy. has something cool engraved on it.
We don't need to talk about that.
This is a really well produced segment, and if you want to see some really, really great 1911 gun porn, then this is for you. As long as you don't go past like the first 45 seconds, because then we start hearing Colin Noir make all these fancy, you know. The best part is when he says, "This isn't a gun for like you and me. This is a gun for those guys that are like." All he runs is salience and like Jesse James firearms. Like, what is he talking about? Guys like you and me. This is where we lose the NRA and we lose Colin Noir, because this is clearly a high-paid production team. This is clearly gorgeous 4K footage. He has to talk, which ruins all of it. But talking to the guy who invented it, the meteorite in and of itself, dude, that's pretty epic. I mean, you might as well have invented Thor's hammer. That's what it boils down to. You took a meteorite that's been on the Earth since before dinosaurs, and you made 1911s with it.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are. That's cool. If we just watch it in mute, though, you'll be way better off.
What if like an alien invasion happens and it turns out that's the only gun that can kill the aliens?
Oh my God, Murr! It's like you read my mind.
I just wrote a screenplay in 1 second in my head right now. We'll start working on that tomorrow, Whitey.
All right, Baraka, what do you got?
So we got another awesome story here where we have another good ending, good happy ending, thanks to a well-armed and prepared law-abiding citizen. So this happened in Nate Murr's state of good old Pennsylvania in a pizza shop called Porfirio's in Livittstown, about 20 miles northeast of Philadelphia. Apparently, there were some there was a law-abiding citizen who happened to be armed in the establishment. When two armed robbers broke in, they started telling everyone to get down, including the employees and this gentleman. They proceeded to pistol whip this gentleman, and as he was in the fray, he produced a firearm, pulled it out, made a center mass shot, DRTing, which means dead right there, one of the dirt bags, and then the other one he gave the bees, which means the bullets, and injured him heavily, and he saved the day and prevented potentially other people from being harmed. Once again, a law-abiding citizen being in the right place at the right time, armed and ready and standing to deliver shots, saved the day, and he's a hero in my book.
I mean, this is a Fox News article, but it says the police said customer's gun was properly registered, but they're unsure if he had a concealed carry permit, which is like kind of weird because we don't have a state registry. Really, you know, it's like, what's that matter about the gun being registered, air parentheses or not? The CCW thing, I would think, would be a bigger issue. Like that's something that you confirm in your local county. So I'm not sure how they don't know whether or not the guy had a CCW, but apparently the guy's not in trouble. So that's what really matters here. He saved the day and he's not in trouble. So go on him.
The question is, does he get free pizza for life?
Very good question.
He should.
You should.
So, Nate, we have Chris here watching live on Facebook. He says, enjoying the episode from South Africa.
Oh, brutal.
Yes.
Does he know
I
any
never
legless
said any-
sprinters?
Listen, I never said anything negative about South Africans. I said I like them. I've had nothing but positive encounters with them. They have literally saved my life in Iraq. There's nothing wrong with South Africans. However, as a culture, you people are all criminally insane, and I love you for it. Like if I had to pick a place in Africa to live, it would be South Africa.
Okay, so all I said when I originally
Can you
brought
imagine
up South
Nate
African,
Murr in a pair of shorts with the FAL out in the bush?
Yes.
Yes.
I want to
there
see
you
that.
go. Yep, with a dapper
Being a
Dan.
man among men. I would totally do that.
I just said that they have good anti-carjacking devices, and that could be utilized here in some of the protests. So that's all.
Jared, what do you have?
Well, I was looking at the list and decided to use one that's not on the list.
That's fine.
If that's okay. I know it's my first time here, just taking over, doing my own thing.
Sergeant Stab approved.
I'm wearing. I don't know if you can see, but I'm wearing my my 5th Legion shirt. I don't know how much you guys have been following, but those 3 5th Group Special Forces guys who got killed in Jordan, more information's been coming out about that, and it sounds like it was definitely terrorist related. The best word that we have is the guys. Their team was doing training. Most of the team went into the base. 4 guys were left behind to blow some unexploded ordnance, so they took care of that. Then when they pulled in, they actually went through 1 of 2 checkpoints. So they went through the first checkpoint, the gate shut behind them, and they were waiting to go through the second checkpoint when the guy came at him with an AK, shot and killed 2 of them. And then the other 2 guys bailed out of another vehicle and got into a fight. And it sounds like it was the team sergeant who actually shot and didn't kill, but put down the guy who was attacking him. And everything that I'm seeing from the white side or from open source is that's really what it was. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't, the guy screwing up at the gate. It was definitely a hit. And, it sucks. Anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Just to comment on Jared's discussion, our friends over at RE Factor Tactical have released an SF shirt that 100% of the proceeds are going to Green Beret Foundation.
Awesome.
Cool.
Just to make sure that's capitalized on, and the money's going to families. I've worked with guys from the Green Beret Foundation for several years now, and it's definitely, it's not just a poster boy charity. It's not a box to check. Those are the dudes that have been there, done that, been blowed up, had holes pinned them. I had the honor of getting a guy, quote unquote, back in the saddle. He hadn't shot a gun since he had taken a 7.62 in the right above the gut, below the sternum, and ended up like screwing up everything down to his ankle because multiple infection and surgeries and field ops and being worked on in the field, et cetera, et cetera. And it was 3 years.
Ouch.
And we put a Falcor and a war sport in his hands and let him go to town. And 500 rounds later, he was a happy camper, and he was really kind of not emotional, but you could tell like he was like, I can still do it kind of thing. So
outstanding.
That's the thing that I think people forget. I mean, we're still in Afghanistan. We have guys in Iraq right now. Like it's not about Iraq and Afghanistan. The global war on terror is still going on. Like I personally right now have friends downrange. Jared does too, and maybe you guys do too. Everybody here knows somebody, but like the war's not over. Like they're over there doing some really hard things in the Middle East and in Africa and elsewhere in the world, and we're still losing our boys in combat operations. Like the war's not over, and it's starting to get to the point where some of the guys are saying to me that like, it's starting to feel like the forgotten war. Like when Iraq was in the news and Afghanistan was in the news every day. Like every day you turn on the news, you saw it. People were sending care packages and people were giving their support. And now it's like it's gotten so long in the tooth that like I feel like this new generational warfighter doesn't really feel appreciated like when I was over.
Well,
so,
let me add something into that, Nate. The Obama administration took the USO and they gutted their budget. We worked with the USO probably about 4 years ago, and over at Fort Belvoir near here, they had an entire, probably I would say 65,000 square foot warehouse with a staff of about 15 or 20 people, and they had literal assembly lines of everything, like crossword puzzles, cards to call home, free internet stuff, toothbrushes, all these really cool things for the troops. They would have companies come over there on a corporate day, like our company at the time, Time Warner Cable. This was back in 2009. Went over there and we stuffed packages, and those packages would be loaded on, and then they would be directly airdropped into the troops into these theaters of war. Well, we went back a few years ago when I contacted the USO and asked them about doing something like that for our organization, MASF, and they said, I talked to the person there. There was 2 people left. They said the Obama administration had completely shut it down. There was only 2 people. They could no longer provide the facility. They can't even provide the donated things anymore. That we had to do it. But here's the list of things that we could do. We went out to Costco, bought all of these Energizer packs. We went over. I talked to Jimmy at F3 Tactical. We brought over people there. We made 800 packs. We had families come from all over, even out of state. That day at F3, and we made 800 packs. We had to package everything, and then we had to take it to the base, and then from the base they would have it shipped. So that's the change, man. Unfortunately,
I had no idea. We used to send care packages all the time. They used to always ask for flags, dip, and porn. So we used to smuggle porn inside a Lucky Charms boxes, and then heat glue it back together so it looked like it wasn't open.
Let me
and then we would
let me tell about your boxes there, Whitey. The guys on the airfield would cut those boxes open and take all the batteries, the porn, and a dip and baby wipes out. And then when I got a box full of toothbrushes and tampons in my little fob in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, oh, wait, this was obviously packaged with clear packaging tape.
Nathan.
Somebody put 100-mile-per-hour tape over it before they sent it out to my fob.
So I wasn't a complete idiot. I consulted guys like you before I built out this package.
Oh, well,
that's why porn and dip was smuggled inside of like boxes of Cheerios.
Smart.
So all the stuff that was meant to get to the guys, oh, I know you miss your whole grain Cheerios. Please make sure you eat your daily for your heart. Oh yeah, screw that. And then you throw like the decoys. You throw a bunch of CR123s in there. You throw a bunch of, the Amazon, like these packs, the 2025s or whatever, 2032s, and it's like, oh, like you said, batteries gone. A couple like things of coke gone.
What I'm saying is
in
like
the boxes.
And that's good. That I'm really proud of all you guys for doing that stuff and supporting the troops. What I'm just saying is that for everybody listening at home, those kids still need your support. That hasn't ended. That the fight has not ended. Those guys would still love to hear letters, boxes, whatever. If you don't want to do that, then by supporting the Green Beret Association, the Raider Project, the Simplify Foundation, there's so many good foundations out there to support. And if you can't bring yourself to get a box together, at the very least, go and support one of those foundations, because we're still losing troops. We're still losing guys, and it's 2016. The war's not over.
It'd be awesome, Nate, is if guys like you, guys like Jared, guys that are in the know, so to speak, actually put together a small list. I think that would carry more weight if it came from you than if it did from someone like me, of here's who we trust as a charity. Because I think nowadays, after the whole Wounded Warrior Project fallout and all the other fun stuff, I think it's really hard for people to justify things because they're not entirely sure where the money's going.
I can understand that. Like the Green Beret Association is one of the most highly ranked charities and one of the oldest charities. They formed that like almost. Jared probably knows this better than me, being a Green Beret. Like you guys formed that like the year that the Green Berets were commissioned, right? It's a really old foundation. It's been around forever. So like they have a very, very good track record. But I'm saying if you don't want to give it to a charity and you don't know anyone in the military, call your local recruiter and say, can you give me an address of a unit that's downrange so I can send them a care package? Yeah. And I've told people to do that for years, and I've yet to find a recruiter that was not the most helpful person possible for that task. So there's a lot of different ways to support our guys. The most important thing, I guess my whole thesis on this is, don't forget that we still have guys downrange fighting the good fight. And we just lost a couple American heroes. I mean, this is what Jared said. It's like it wasn't an accident. That was a deliberate thing.
That was a rough week for us because we had 3 from 5th, and there was another 3 right before that. So that week we lost 6. That week we lost 6 brothers from the regiment from Special Forces.
God rest their souls. I didn't know that. But to what Nate is saying, we're definitely going to do something else, Nate, this coming spring. MASF will work with the USO, and hopefully they'll get their funding restored. And even if they haven't, I don't care. We'll get the money.
Let me know, Baraka. I'll be more than happy to support in any way I can.
All right. Well, we're going to definitely do it, brother, this spring. So I'll be reaching out to you.
And mothers, brothers, sisters, cousins, boyfriends, fiancés, if you need help smuggling the stuff that they care about, you can always call me.
If you put a bottle of vodka into an empty Listerine container and put 3 drops of green food coloring, it looks a lot like Listerine. It's kind of weird.
Can't fight them drunk, don't fight them at all, right?
Okay.
That's right after hours.
I pasted that story in the show notes. I also
Awesome.
posted the RE Factor Tactical t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I put that link in there in case anybody wanted it.
Thanks.
I know it seems like it's like kind of harping on something that shouldn't be, like we're selling something, but in reality, I trust the guys at RE Factor very much, and I know that being a former Green Beret, that those guys over there, their heart and minds are in the right place.
Awesome. Who hasn't gone? Nate?
What was the story? Oh, here, another good news story. Police sniper takes out a suspect holding 2-year-old girl for a hostage.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, so
Yes,
I mean,
it was.
it's a sad story. It's a pretty serious situation, but you had an estranged husband, Mr. Salvador Reyes, recently departed. 42 broke into his ex-wife's house and took her daughter hostage. So this guy had children with this woman. They got a divorce. The children live with the mom. Emotions ran high. Who knows what was going on the family level, but he forced his way in by gunpoint, snatched up a child that was not his, and held the child hostage. What eventually ended the situation was, after a couple hours standoff, he walked out onto a porch on the second story, and police sniper took the shot. Clean shot. The child wasn't hurt, and the guy's dead. So, it's always sad when it has to come to that. But I mean, when you take a child hostage, the kid gloves come off. Like, there's no rules at that point. If you're holding a gun to a child's head, I don't know a single warrior that wouldn't take that shot if they're capable. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that.
All right. Has everyone gone then? Baraka?
Yes, I've gone.
Did we mention that Harambe got like 14,000 write-ins on election night?
And we said that last week, didn't we?
Did we? Florida man arrested for ramen noodle attack against his boyfriend. Had to get a Florida man story on. I don't know. I didn't really pick one this week, but Top Shot Dustin Ellerman has a good story or good video with tips for teaching kids to shoot. A while back, we did an episode of Gun Guy Radio with I think it was with Ebbs and someone else.
Yeah, I was there for that one. It was me, Ebbs, and I think Patton was on, and possibly Murr.
Okay. Yeah, so that was a good audio episode, but Dustin here has a pretty good video he put out. So,
and Dustin's a solid dude. I mean, there's no one I'd rather, aside from maybe Ebbs, to teach my kid if it wasn't me. I mean, I'm really looking forward to watching that.
Very cool. Any other extras?
Yeah, I've got one. So the last one here was there was protesters surrounded this guy's vehicle. It was a guy for the Standing Rock protesters. They kind of embellished this title a little bit. It says ran over after surrounding man's truck. What happened was it was a guy who's hauling a skid steer on a trailer behind his pickup truck, and they all like hug his truck, and the guy gets upset, doesn't want to run him over, so he does something he shouldn't have done as a law-abiding citizen, which is brandish his firearm. So shame on him. He needs to go to Rockwell Tactical and get training and learn the laws from a good trainer to understand that we don't brandish guns. We only take them out unless we're going to shoot someone. But he starts to get out, and these people are like, please put down the gun. We just want to love you, sir. And then they start hugging his truck again. The guy's like, I'm trying to get home. I mean, and they won't get out of the way. So finally he just gets frustrated, starts hitting the gas. One of them sticks their foot out, and of course he runs it over because he can't even see it. It's in his blind spot. And then they're yelling about, oh, he just ran over his foot. And I mean, it's just a circus show.
How many, like, I swear I've seen like a dozen videos of protesters getting run over in the last week.
I don't understand.
which makes for some really awesome montage videos.
They make me laugh every time.
I don't
so great.
understand them. I mean,
I-
do they really think that people? I mean, this guy is tired. He's been working all day doing construction. He wants to get home to his family, and he's probably late for dinner. And these guys are going to in his way. He could be paying an hourly fee on that rental for that skid steer on the back. You don't know
But they love
what kind of
him.
mood that guy is. I know, and that's what
as a construction worker, he just wants to get home, take off his work boots, put on his comfy slippers, turn on Real Housewives, open a bottle of Chardonnay. Like, he's the last person in the world you would think would have a gun in his truck, right?
Oh, Lord.
Or would run over a poor helpless protester who's not sympathetic. Like, it's like, what do you think is going to happen?
And he's yelling. Exactly.
So stupid.
He's like, I'm trying to get home. Get out of my way. And they're like, we just want to love you, sir. He's like, leave me alone.
The exhaust pipes at the rear. Go do your business and let me be on my way.
So I watched this video the other day, and then there's another video I actually just watched this evening before I came on the show of this guy driving this really nice, 4-door Jeep, and it looks like New York City, right? Like, the guy just came back and his vehicle's covered in mud, so it was like he was out for the weekend or whatever. But these protesters started smashing his vehicle. Like, he's just trying to drive, and like they're like, tell us one good policy that Trump has. And they start like they cracked his windshield. They smashed in like his headlights and just beat the vehicle up. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, it's two people in the vehicle. I'm not really sure like what the relationship of the people in the vehicle are, but they're like filming it because people do that for video evidence these days, right? That's why we have cops wearing body cams. They don't know what direction this is going to go, but they're physically blocked in. People are yelling at them, screaming at them, pulling at the door handles. They start beating the vehicle. Like, at that point, I would be saying to myself, if that door fails or that window fails, what happens next in the next 5 seconds? If you're angry enough to violate my security and break my vehicle, to destroy my property, if you're that violent to destroy my property, are you violent enough to kill me, to beat me to death with a tire iron on the side of the street? That's what I'm saying. Like, I want somebody to tell me what I'm supposed to do in that situation, because
My gun's out.
well, the thing is, yeah, and that's the thing is, like, we're saying that guy in the video, he does pull his gun out, and it doesn't make any difference. Like, I don't see him actually point the gun at anybody in that video. He's showing, like, hey, how far do you want this to go?
It seemed like in that video, as soon as he pulled the gun out, they got even stupider. Oh, he's got a gun. We want to love you. And they're like,
we want to love you. That's what they kept saying, dude.
So my thing is, when somebody pulls a gun out in my life, either I'm like, you're going to show me yours, so I'm going to show you mine,
right,
or I leave. Those are my two options.
It's also a mob. So, I mean, if you're talking escalation of force and you're talking about, making things even, so to speak, if I'm in a car with my kids and there is a mob of protesters, given all the media, given all that we've seen on the news, they could be Greenpeace, they could be BLM, they could be the Ku Klux Klan, doesn't matter. There's a mob of people coming at my kids in my car.
Of your life.
My gun is out.
Yeah,
that's right.
Wait, what I'm saying,
I'm in fear for my life.
Period.
Act.
What I'm saying is, like, when you're walking out, like you're leaving a restaurant with your wife and children, and a guy comes out of the shadows with a pocket, like a knife or a gun. That's like a pretty clear cut, like, justified use of force.
Oh yeah, I don't know a single cop that's going to hit me for brandishing or anything in that situation.
Right. What I'm saying though is, like, in this mob situation, the rules of engagement are different. Like you how do you articulate that you are in fear of your life and you had to use deadly force? That's the thing. That's what I'm terrified of, because people have gone to jail over less. So, like, I might choose to use my vehicle as the weapon instead of using my handgun, right? I'm going to use my vehicle as a weapon, and I'm going to get off the X. I'm getting out of Dodge. So I'm egressing out, and I'm also taking out some of the protesters or the violent perpetrators at the same time. So be it. My goal is to leave the scene. But when you're physically surrounded and people are smashing in your vehicle, like, at what point does it become deadly force?
That's the thing. William Petty proud.
Vehicle CQB.
Vehicle
CQB.
No giggles from that one.
Vehicle CQB class. That's right.
I'm not going down that road. But what I'm saying is, like, the rules of engagement for that situation, for deadly force, it seems to me it's less clear. And I personally, right now, this is what my personal struggle is. I'm trying to figure out what I would do if I found myself in that situation, and that's a gut check right there.
It is, but Nate, at the same time, and I've been to trainings with you. There is no ROE for civilian life.
That's right.
And you being who you are, You know exactly what to do. You don't need to hem and haw over
No,
think about
well-
it. You need to go be Murr. And when people impede Murr being Murr, you know exactly what to do. And you evaluate what's around you, and you either peace out or you pull out. That's what it's
Here's
going
my thing: is like as far as deadly force encounters stateside go, I've only had a couple, right? So what I'm saying is my experience is based from being a Marine overseas, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's a huge difference between Sergeant Murr and Nate Murr. I'm not Sergeant Murr anymore. I'm Nate Murr. So my rules of engagement, like I'm all about anchor shots, bro. But I can't do that anymore.
I saw
Here,
Nate Murr try
right?
and kill somebody with a flashlight. Okay.
All right,
So-
what I'm saying though, it's like, but that's the thing. It's like what do you got to understand? Like my conflict is when I go into fight mode, I fight the win, and that's like total destruction right there. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to get somebody in trouble.
That's right. You're right.
In a legal situation. So for me, I know what I'm going to do. If I'm like, it's clear cut, deadly force is authorized. I'm going to use deadly force if I have to. What I'm saying is this convolution.
Nate, did you?
I don't understand why you guys aren't more worried.
Well, no. But here's the breakdown. When I've talked to some of these self-defense lawyers and stuff, did you feel that your life was in imminent danger? Did you feel that you needed that if whoever was in front of you with what either empty-handed with a weapon, whoever, multiple people, if you were to get knocked down, would you be beaten to death? You have to make those decisions right then and there. And
Barack, what I'm saying is the difference is that you have 30 cameras on you now. That's something that wasn't to the frequency that it is today because of smartphones. Every last one of these protests, you see every protester walk by with their phone and they're recording, right? So the thing is, it's a matter of perspective. I might be justified, but what if it's captured from the wrong angle?
In the video, the article that Barack started talking about, that's exactly what they were doing. They reminded me of my little kids, picking on each other. I'm not touching you, as they're sticking a hand right in somebody's face
Right,
without touching
that's
it.
right.
And they're all filming just to provoke that guy to do something. They wanted to see that gun. They wanted him to shoot because that's what they were waiting for.
Yeah, they did. I agree.
They were baiting.
100%.
All right, new ways to support This Week in Guns and the network. You can pledge your support at firearmsradio.tv/pledge. And Patriot Patch Company makes this episode possible. Don't forget to check out the new American Tradition Morale patch.
Awesome.
Over there at patriotpatch.co.
Safety orange.
And there's also just a very few Patch of the Month Club slots left for November. So check it out, patriotpatch.co. So this is the part of the show where we see what these guys have been up to and where you can find them online. So, Jared, you have any courses or anything coming up you want to share, and where can people connect with you online?
Don't be shy.
We're actually winding down for this year. I think we've got a class this Saturday, a pistol class. And then we have a seminar in December called Survival in the Digital Age. Great seminar about how to stay off the grid, all kinds of stuff, dealing with phones, computers, social media, good stuff, good security stuff. But you can find us, you can email us at info@Rockwell Tactical. Check out our website, rockwelltactical.com. We do have a pretty active Facebook page as well as Instagram. So those are ways you can reach us.
Very cool. Nate, what's up? Where can people connect online?
You can check out Kinetic Development Group at kineticdg.com, or you can just Google Kinetic Development Group. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. If you want to harass me personally, you can go ahead and send me a direct message on Instagram. My screen name is Gripstop, so you can always find me there. So also, if anybody has any complaints, they can always file those complaints directly to me via the DM at Gripstop. So
especially if you reside in South Africa.
Oh yeah, dude, I love South Africans. You guys want to hit me up? You guys want to hit me up? You want to embrace the radius? Go ahead.
That's right.
Yeah.
Embrace the radius, baby.
Whitey, what's up, and where can people connect?
People can always find us at Four Guys Guns on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and all that other fun jazz. It's usually all just one word, Four Guys Guns. I do appreciate drunken Snapchats as well as body part exposure. So you can get me on FGG space Whitey on Snapchat. We do have our series continues with the weekly drill down where we face, fat guys like me against other trainers like Matt DeVito from Downrange Firearms Training in weekly exercises, utilizing a 7-yard target stand and some really cool drills from the RE Factor Dead Man's Hand target deck. So it's really cool because it makes me look really good. I mean, I'm smoking Matt, so it is what it is.
Phrasing.
But all in all, it's been a really this is the time of year where everything ramps up. So I've been doing a lot more photography, video for other people, as well as traveling. I think I've traveled more this year than I have in the past 3 years combined, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time, because it's less time that I'm actually putting in the work here for people. So we've had less reviews, but we at least have, one video going up every week. So make sure you like and subscribe. Follow us on 4 Guys Guns on YouTube and Facebook. Every little bit helps. And looking forward to figuring out what to do with SHOT Show, and hopefully someone like Jared runs a class like in Connecticut or New Hampshire or something, because I'd like to go to one of his courses without driving 8 hours, but it is what it is.
Very cool. Baraka, what's up? Where can people connect online?
What's up is Chicken Butt. Where you can connect online is masf.co. And don't try to hold the laugh back. Just go ahead and let it go, Jake.
That was like the most dad joke of the evening.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
And you love it. Anyway, masf.co. We're going to be putting up, we finally got our first gun raffle up. We're going to have that up on the site tomorrow. So please go to mesf.co, look at the tab that says gun raffle, and you will be able to purchase raffle tickets for a really nice, highly customized Glock 19 Gen 3. It's got a slide work donated by ATI out of Michigan. It has a agency magwell, agency flat trigger. It's got an S3F Solutions barrel. It's got stippling and grip work donated by ASM Weapons. It's got an X300 donated by Big Tex Outdoors. It has Trijicon HD, night sights. Thank you. God, I'm stuck on that.
Those things that you align.
Shut up. extended mag, Vickers extended mag release and extended slide release. It's a really nice package, and the tickets are going to be $10. So again, afternoon tomorrow after 12 o'clock, look on our site for that. Tickets are $10. There's going to be a limited amount of them sold. This is to help us raise money for our charity. Look at our mission statement to see if you want to help get behind that. And we thank you. Dick us out for Harambe.
Really?
Really?
Yeah. Harambe memes are down. Invest in Biden memes. Just saying.
Oh, yeah. That's
Biden
true.
all day.
This about wraps up the show. Leave your feedback by commenting on the bottom of the YouTube video or the bottom of the show notes. Leave us a review in iTunes. Contribute using that Amazon affiliate link. And don't forget to watch live every Thursday night at roughly 9 p.m. Central Time on Facebook or YouTube. Next week is Thanksgiving, so no show next week. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you, Jared. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate.
Always a pleasure, Jake. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Whitey.
Pleasure to be here, Jake. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, Baraka.
I'm going to go get me some biscuits and mustard, maybe some potted meat.
I hunt whitetail year round. You know what I mean?
That's right. We'll see you next week. 2 weeks.